Welcome. You are listening to the Be a Better Being podcast hosted by Michelle Zellner and Sasha Berscheid. Michelle and Sasha are here to give you information and inspiration to help you live your healthiest, happiest lives. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoy the show.
Greetings, everybody. Thank you for joining the Be a Better Being podcast. My name is Michelle Zellner, and I am joined, as usual, by my beautiful sidekick, Sasha. How are you today, my dear?
Hey, guys. I'm rocking and rolling. Truly doing amazing right now.
Yes, you are. I'm so excited to get to hear a little bit more about that particular thing that you are so rocking and rolling about later. But what I really want to do today is dive a little deeper into your backstory. We just shared with the listeners a little bit of each of our journeys, how, we grew up, what we were like, where we are now. But obviously we both have a story to tell. And I really want to make sure that people understand where we are coming from because of where we came from. Absolutely. So I think it would be nice to just let us hear from you, the Cliff Notes version of Sasha, how you came to be who you are today. So maybe some of those really defining moments.
Sure. I'd love to give you guys some insight into who and what and where and when has made me. I grew up, well, I guess I should say I was born in Lincoln, Nebraska on September 9th, 1987 to two beautiful parents, absolutely fantastic parents, who just didn't know any better, right? When you're a new parent, it's just a new territory. My mom is originally from El Salvador. And so my childhood looked a little different than everyone else's. In the summertime and also during Christmas, like the holiday season, we would go back down to El Salvador to visit my grandparents. So I spent half of my childhood in Lincoln, Nebraska, and half of my childhood in San Salvador, El Salvador, with my grandparents and my mom. One of the most beautiful things that happened to me was at an early age, I found a soccer ball. By the time I was 3 years old, I was already enrolled in a soccer program. By the time I was 6, I was already getting recruited to play on boys teams. By the time I was 9, by the time I was 9, I tried out for my first under 10. So I was the youngest by a year and a half, a U10 team for the girls. By the time I was 12, I tried out for an under 12 boys team, a select team, which I made the top tier team for the traveling club team. I was on the boys soccer team from 12 until I was 16, where at 16 years old, I just couldn't keep up with the boys. The boys were turning into men and I was turning into a woman. But I mean, as we all know, that's just physiologically different, right? Like just, I wasn't as strong. I wasn't as fast. So that is when I went back to try out for a girls team. The girls team, I had the best tryout of my life. Truly, I remember that day and I was just like on cloud 9. I remember that the parents on that team, they did not want me on that team. They just went to the coach and said, she's not allowed to be on this team. You have to push her to a different team, tell her she doesn't have a spot on this team. So I had to get pushed to a different team, and this team was an older team and they were not as interested in going into like collegiate soccer. So they didn't go into showcases or anything like that.
I want to take a quick pause because I think one thing you just pointed out there was probably a defining moment in your life. What was that like to have been made it to this degree, to this level, obviously very rapidly accelerated, right? And then to have people literally not want you there and to get their way. Let's explore that a little bit, because yes. I have a feeling that experience right there probably shaped a lot of things for you going forward.
Yeah, it really did. It taught me to not fight for myself. No one fought for me in that moment. No one stood up for me. It just was like, okay, these are the cards that were dealt to you. So you just like in my head, I wasn't like, no, that wasn't fair. It was just like, okay, well, I understand why they're jealous and that they don't want me, and I don't want to play on a team that doesn't want me. And so I'm going to go to what's the next option for me. There was only one legit female club in Lincoln. I could have driven an hour every day and an hour back to go play for an Omaha team. But that wasn't something that was ever offered to me by my parents. And not saying that my parents didn't try, right? Because they really, really tried. They were the ones that put me in the Junior Olympic program. They were the ones that funded me to go to El Salvador every summer and play with on this men's soccer academy. It was called La Chelona. I was the only girl in the middle of 500 boys playing soccer. I was the first girl to be admitted into that soccer academy. And then fortunately, there were other girls that were soldiers after me that were allowed to play in the middle of a sea of men. But in that moment, I didn't stand up for myself. No one really stood up for me. And it was like, okay, well, this is your option. Like, this is it. And that did, I feel like, haunt me when I went to college. And I'll explain my college story here. That the college story is a huge monumental one. And then my sobriety one, I think those are between like them telling me, hey, you can't be here, you can't sit with us. And then college and then getting sober. That whole roller coaster is really how I have built my backbone, right? Like if I don't stand up for myself, who will? So yeah, that was hard. And looking back, it sucks, but at the same time, I'm thankful for it, because had I gone to a different college, I would have never gotten kicked out of college, right? And I would have maybe never gotten sober. And so who knows? But yeah, it was definitely a hard pill to swallow. But at the same time, it was one of those things like, what am I going to do? I'm nothing. So I have to take what I have. And the girls that I was playing with are incredible. My best friend, Stacy, was on that team, and she's still my best friend to this day. So, that was a blessing. But yeah, it was a hard pill to swallow to hear, nope, we don't want you. We're jealous of you, or you're too good, or you're whatever. And we don't like, just, okay, you don't want me. You don't want me. That's fine. At the age of 15, which obviously is right at this same time when all of this is happening, I drank alcohol for the first time. And 15 was a really hard year for me. Sorry, Mom, for hearing this. 15 was the year of everything for me. 15 was the first year for drinking. 15 was the first year that I ever kissed someone. 15 was the first year that things happened. And I wanted to experiment and test the waters sexually and just all these things. And so that's going to be a hard pill for my parents to hear probably and swallow. But it is the truth. And I'm here representing myself in nothing but the truth, right? So fast forward to that girls group. The girls were a year older than me, and we did go to a soccer tournament in Kansas City where I got scouted. I did get scouted for, fortunately for me, big blessing, 20 plus colleges scouted me to play for them. I chose the school that was farthest away from home, that was still going to give me a full ride scholarship. So I chose this EDB Division I school in Nashville, Tennessee called Lipscomb University. I had a fantastic time there. I was the center mid. I got to run the show. I loved it. It was a lot of fun. My senior year was a really big sticking point. All my life, from the age of 3 until the age of 21, soccer was my priority. Like, people would come and say, what are you going to graduate in? And I said, whatever works with my soccer schedule. Like, I wanted to do pre-med. They're like, oh, you can't do pre-med and play soccer. I was like, okay, well, I don't want to do pre-med. I'll go into nursing. They're like, well, you can't do nursing and soccer. And I was like, well, what can I do to keep playing soccer? And they're like, you could do psychology. I'm like, oh, okay, I can do psychology. So truly everything about me was revolved around soccer. Somewhere between my freshman year and my senior year, though, alcohol became my priority. Partying became my priority. Giving myself that gross liquid courage, liquid sultries, whatever you call it, which I don't think it's really courage, but it was more of a possession of who I was. So liquid possession took over me. And by the time I was 21, I was on a full spiral downward. On my 21st birthday, I woke up feeling invincible per usual, because that was Sasha's way. I could get through anything. I had this fake courage, right? I show up to film after a morning of drinking mimosas, celebrating me, and was checking my phone the entire time during film. And my coach is like, hey, you need to put your phone down. And I was like, it's my birthday. Like, it's my 21st birthday. You don't have to tell me what to do. It's film. It's my world, not yours. Pulled me aside, realized I was drunk, got kicked off the soccer team. He did whatever it took to get me then kicked out of school. The thing that sucks about that is my birthday, September 9th. The last day to drop your classes is September 19th. The school waited until September 20th to kick me out of school. They pulled my full ride scholarship. They kicked me off of soccer. They kicked me out of soccer, pulled my full ride scholarship, then waited to kick me out of school until the 20th. So I would have to pay for that entire semester of school that I did not attend in order to be able to get my transcripts, be able to do like anything. So that was a huge setback. That was a huge turning point. And that right there, I was silenced and no one fought for me. I was drinking, I was depressed. I had all of a sudden this entire life of working hard to show off and showcase my abilities within soccer was completely gone. I didn't know who I was without soccer. Like, that was my identity. And if I wasn't performing, like, what good was I, right? And so now additionally, I'm X amount of money in debt to this school that I never got to graduate from, that I never even attended that semester. Fortunately for my mom, this all happened September. I didn't tell my parents that any of this happened. The dean of the school, which by the way, I'm 21, called my mom in November and said, did you know this happened to your daughter? I'm a legal adult. They do not need to call my parents. They called my parents. My parents were like, what the heck, Sasha? You're coming home now. So that was November. I came home, got enrolled to another college in December. That's when we realized this was not going to be an easy feat for me. This was going to be very difficult. So I said, I need to get into college. I need my transcripts. They said, you have to pay us what you owe us in order for you to get your transcripts. Well, I can't get a loan to go to school without you releasing my transcripts. I can't get enrolled into a school without my transcripts. If I'm not enrolled in a school, I can't get a loan. It was just like such a mess. And so at that point in time, my mom just stepped up and she took a loan out for me, bless her heart. And that was why I was able to get enrolled into school, and literally just pushed that whole thing under the rug. Never tried to fight for myself, never tried to go to bat and say, no, what you did was wrong. First of all, I never signed anything for you to be able to break my contract as a soccer player. Like, none of it was like legal. It was all like, hey, you don't get this anymore. And by the way, you owe us a ton of money and you're not allowed to be on campus. Like, that's how it was. And I just let them walk all over me because I didn't know that there was such thing as standing up for yourself. Right.
And let me ask you this, because I am curious if you think this or have thought about it. It sounds like, not that there were everything always went perfectly, but it sounds like up until the time when that group told you that they didn't want you on their team, it sounds like pretty much everything that you wanted, you got.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah.
I didn't want to put words in your mouth,
yeah.
but I mean, be a girl on these boys teams and to be a girl for the first time ever at this soccer academy, those are kind of big deals. And I would imagine that as a, young human, that makes you feel kind of special. That makes you feel pretty important. That makes you feel like I get what I want no matter what. Mm-hmm. And so now there's this team at 16 that says, no, we don't want you. Mm-hmm. And then there's this attitude with the coach that says, I'm Sasha. I can do whatever I want.
Dude, that was literally me.
maybe that was maybe the first real dose of reality, because even with the team at 16, you still had other options, right? You could go to a different team. Well, this was really the first real dose of reality that maybe Sasha doesn't get everything she wants. Maybe Sasha has to follow some rules. Maybe Sasha's not special. Maybe Sasha really is just like everybody else.
Girl, you hit it nail on the head. Literally, it was like I woke up and I wasn't able to drink the inevitable juice. Like, I can do anything, you know. I am the best. I am Sasha Fierce. I am Sack Attack, you know. And then that cockiness got to me. And something that I had worked my entire life to step foot on the field my senior year, which is what I felt like I was destined to do, was completely taken away from me by myself.
How long did it take you to come to that conclusion?
12 years.
Okay.
12 years of crying, anxiety, depression, blame placing, finger pointing, accusing, griping, moaning. 12 years until, and you know, I'm going to get to this. 7 of those years were sober, right? So like 5 of those years weren't, but it took me up until this last year, when I first started to actually speak my story and I finally signed up for soccer again. It took me 12 years of night sweats, of night terrors, of waking up screaming and crying because I would have a dream where I would be laced up and show up to the field and John was sitting there saying, "You don't get to play with us. You're not allowed to be on this campus." Nights of just agony, and waking up and the bed was completely covered in sweat. Like, I'll have to send pictures so that wherever we upload pictures, people will be able to see. I'm not joking. Terrors. And ever since I made a very bold post on my social media on Instagram, coupled with facing my fear and signing up for an all women's league this past year, I don't have night terrors anymore. First time in 12 years.
Isn't it amazing what happens when we just acknowledge our truth and we step into that fear and we just become vulnerable and authentic, right?
Yeah.
And what I want everyone to know, including you, is that 12 years of being angry and frustrated and pissed off and feeling like a victim and this shouldn't have happened to me and this wasn't fair is completely normal, right? That is normal. That is what we do because we're designed to protect ourselves. That's called survival. And so anytime anybody goes through something that they feel like they've been wronged, that is going to be a very normal reaction and experience. And I think what's important, because you've acknowledged it, and I certainly, when we get to my story, trust me, there's a lot of that as well. It's when you recognize that you play a role in every single thing that has happened in your life. Right? And so ownership and personal responsibility, the good and the bad, we are common denominators in our own lives. And so everything that happens, I play at least some degree of role in it, right? Because I'm there. Maybe I play a huge role in it. It would be fascinating to me. I've always loved the concept of like a parallel life. In fact, my favorite movie is Sliding Doors, which is the 2 versions of, in one case, this happens, and in the other case, this happens. If that coach had just brushed it off and let you stay and let you be Sasha and let Sasha rule the team and the school and the court, how that would have turned out, how you would have turned out differently, right? Had that one person done one thing differently, how things might be very, very different today.
Yeah, I mean, it was the biggest ego hit. You want to talk about humbling? You want to talk about feeling like you have self-worth? It was gone. My identity was gone. Talk about depression, terrible eating habits. What do you think happened to my drinking? Do you think my drinking got better?
Oh boy, no.
Absolutely not.
No.
Do you think I exercised? Do you think I sought help?
No, we go
I
into
hid.
survival and coping mechanisms.
I hid from every person. I was ashamed. I was so deeply hurt by myself. I was ashamed. I I loathed myself. I loathed him. I loathed the school. I loathed everything. But you know who I didn't loathe? And I did not loathe alcohol.
Mm.
I
Who's your
sought my
friend?
refuge. I sought my refuge in alcohol, which here we go. So that's 21. I move home 21, graduate at 22 from the college called Union College, small private college in Lincoln, Nebraska. Mind you, he did not give me the opportunity to redshirt. He said, no, you don't get to go play soccer somewhere else. You don't get to do these things. I didn't even fight to be redshirted. So for those of you who don't know, redshirting just simply means that you sit out a season. You can opt for a 5th year as an athlete. I didn't even fight for myself for that. I mean, I had no self-worth. I had no fight. I don't want to say it's my parents' fault because it's not, right? I'm 21. I'm a grown-up individual. And all that they cared about at this point in time was me continuing to get my undergraduate degree. May of 2010, I graduated from Union College with a bachelor's of science in psychology. 2010 was the year that, so that was May of 2010. June of 2010 was another big hit for me. Marty, the guy that you guys have heard of before or will hear about him, he broke up with me because of my drinking. I was so annihilated one night. I don't even know how or why I got set up. I was set off. I was in the back of his vehicle because I was throwing a tantrum. He didn't even want me in the front seat, which like, it was a very toxic relationship. Like, we're not going to go into that one, but I got so upset with him that I don't remember this, but I threw a wine bottle at him while he was driving. He pulled over the side of the road, let me out, and told me it was over. I went home, it was very, God always does this to me, but the exact place that he dropped me off, there was someone there who was going to where like I lived, and she knew him, and she's like, I hate him, I'm taking you there. So it was a really funny, like, whatever. I got home. He was on the phone with my dad, telling him that I was crazy because I was crazy that night. I was under the influence. I wasn't myself, and I was a toxic person. I was hurt people. I was miserable people like want to be within the company of misery. I moved back to Lincoln. 2011, moved back to Omaha. 2011, December 31st of 2011, I partook in something that I thought was something else. This is a safe place. So I thought I was taking Molly. It turned out to not be Molly. I don't know what it was. For those of you that know, Molly is like a party drug where you just feel fun and fantasyful and whatever. And ended up being like fentanyl or like a methamphetamine or just something. And so I was up the first, the second, the third. By the third, I decided that was it. I couldn't do this anymore. I wanted to commit suicide. Called my mom, said, Mom, I'm done. I hate my life. I hate everyone that's in it. I don't want to do this anymore. There's no reason for me to live. Sat in the bathroom, decided that I wanted to drink toilet bowl cleaner. She came up, took me to a rehab facility in Lincoln, Nebraska, called the Independence Center. I got checked in. I was there for 31 days. So that was 2012. I then spent the next 5 months in AA thinking, I got this, I'm cured. Sasha's getting a little swag back. By May of 2012, Cinco de Mayo, I was like, I'm cured. I just went 5 months without drinking alcohol. Like, Sasha's got this, of course. I then go from May 5th of 2012 until literally July 27th of 2014. So a solid 2 years of binge drinking. I think there was maybe 10 days in 2 years that I was sober, and not consecutive. I'm saying 10 individual days where I didn't go a day drinking. That's 600 and some days of drinking. and not little.
This is post-college, correct?
Yes, this is
And
2012, post-college,
did you have a job? Like,
post-rehab. Girl, I could not keep a job. If I kept a job, I didn't like the job. I was miserable. I was dating people. I was just reckless. Oh, what a time. Those 2 years were disgusting. Those 2 years were, there's no way that I should have survived. I was drinking and driving. I was very irresponsible. I was an irresponsible member of the community. I would wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. For those of you that are watching, I would wake up shaking like this completely. For those of you that aren't watching, my hands are just like shaking, like convulsing. My entire body would convulse. I would puke, bile, stomach bile, just gross neon yellow bile every morning. And it would happen every single day until I took another shot. So I'd start drinking every morning at 7 a.m. I'd go running at 7:30 a.m. wasted. I'd have to go get more alcohol by 12 p.m. And then I would usually be passed out because my drinking would just be downhill, where I was drinking 2, 3, 4 bottles of wine or entire handle of vodka or rum, really spiced rum, within a 2 to 3 day period. And I was unhealthy mentally, emotionally, physically, everything, until my very rock bottom, my very, very rock bottom. And I would love to share that with you guys. This will be my last story. But on July 26, 2014 July 27th, 2014 was my good girlfriend's surprise birthday party. Her name was Chelsea. Now, guys, this is going to be a whirlwind, and this is going to be a God story. And you guys are going to be like, okay, this is wild. The last time that I ever drank was at a surprise party for Chelsea. That surprise, I was running around in my bikini, running around, flirting, being a hot mess, wasted as all can be. It was not a pool party. I was in my bikini at a surprise party. It was not a pool party. Very Sasha. That same party was the first time that Andrew, my husband, had ever seen me. He was also at that party, and he just was like, I remember this really hot girl running around in a bikini. And I was just like, wow, she is a mess. That next morning, I woke up from that party, and I started to actually vomit blood. This is the first time I had ever vomited blood. I was so sick, so nauseated, a mess, a mental head case, absolutely no reason to live, ready to die, like 100% okay with committing suicide. Yet once again, I could not beat the demon, would not beat the demon. It was like, the only word that I could describe it was pure possession. There were nights where I was drinking, I would have night terrors of the devil straddling over top of me, spitting in my mouth, like telling me to continue to drink, keep drinking, keep drinking. And I remember waking up from that specific dream, like gasping for air, because I knew exactly what that dream meant, that he was having fun watching me drown in alcohol. That morning, I woke up to find at that time, his name was, I'll call him Jerry. I was dating Jerry at the time. I love all these names that these guys have. Marty, Jerry. Don't worry, guys. I didn't date a whole bunch of Martys and Jerrys. And no offense to Martys and Jerrys. I love all of you, but like, hey, whatever. Okay.
Trust me, listeners, we're going to have code words, code names.
Code words, lots of code words.
You can do all the research you want. You're not going to figure it out.
You're not going to figure. One of these days, you'll see. You'll understand all of it. And I found him on the phone with his mom saying, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. I'm packing. I'm moving out. I'm like, oh, thank God. Like what? Like he leaves. I officially have nothing to live for. So I need to come up with the plan for the day, right? Plan for the day. So I had 3 options. Number 1, by the way, you guys, I'm broke AF. I am so broke. I have $1.63 in my bank account. 3 options. My dad had just put gas in my car because my parents would not give me money. They would not, if I asked to be helped for my cell phone bill, they would write out a check directly to the place. If I needed gas money, they would come to me and put gas in my vehicle. No one trusts me with money. And I don't blame them. I was drinking the money away, right? Like, so fine. 3 options: drive to Lincoln, which was about 45 minutes away, to go to my mom's house to detox. Option number 2, drive to Lincoln, again, 45 minutes away, to my girlfriend Jenna's house, who had a fully stocked bar. She had to work that day, and no one knew how bad my alcoholism had got, with the exception of Jerry, the guy that I was living with. Option number 3, steal money from Jerry to go purchase alcohol so that I could continue about my day. All of those sounded terrible, but I knew I needed to pick one. So I decided to pick option number 2. So I got in my vehicle, texted Jenna and said, hey, I'm on my way down to your apartment. I'll see you after work. As I'm driving down, I am puking blood. I'm also like shaking. I have a terrible headache. There's no way, I had so much anxiety. There's no way I should have been driving for those 2 years, but I did. And as I'm driving down to Lincoln, I'm about 10 minutes outside of into my journey, I start to get tunnel vision. And my vision starts to close on to the point where I cannot see. And I am like, what is going on? Am I about to die? Am I about to have a seizure? And like, do I need to pull over? What is going on? I'm not going to be able to make it to Lincoln. I cannot see. I physically cannot see. I am going blind. This is scaring me. Jerry's mother at the time, she probably still is, but was living right off that exit that I was about to like pass on the interstate. And I just remember thinking to myself, okay, this is for real. Jesus, take the wheel. Like I hear those songs and I'm like, no, you guys, like a literal, like you need to take this wheel in the event that you want me to survive, because I will crash. I don't want to hurt anyone. I don't mind if I hurt myself. I don't care if this is my last day on this earth, God, but like do something with me because I'm not making it to Lincoln. So I pull off and I go over to Jerry's mother's house, and I look at her and I see I need to just go lay down in the bathroom floor because I'm puking. I'm shivering. I'm shaking. I'm anxious. I'm sick. I am sick, physically sick. Alcoholism is real. It doesn't matter who, it doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter who you are, who you were born to, what color you are, what religion you are, what your belief system is. You can be the highest of the high, the lowest of the low. It doesn't matter. It will attack you if you are an alcoholic. And I remember laying on that bathroom floor and I was thinking to myself, man, this would be so easy to go down there. The entire family knew I had a problem. It would be so easy to go downstairs into the basement and pull out a bottle of wine and just feel so much better. It would feel so much better. I mean, Joanne knows if I needed a drink, she would understand, because she is a sweetheart and she knows that physically that's what would make me better. By 12 o'clock p.m., I was laying there and I thought to myself, Sasha, wake up. If you drink right now, what are you going to do tomorrow? And then the next day, and then the next day, and then the next day. How are you going to keep going on? How? What are you going to do? And in that moment, I laid there on that cold linoleum floor and hugging the toilet. And I just remember thinking to myself and just saying, okay, Sasha, do it. And with all of my power and with all of and I am sure they heard it. And I'm sure I just said out loud, and I was literally screaming it. And I was like, Jesus, God, please, God, please, whatever it takes, please, God, just remove this from me and use me to be your vessel. Whatever that means for you, Lord, whatever you need me to do, God, please, God, get me sober. Please, God, use me. Just please help me see one more day. I did not know he would take it so literal. I got up.
We shall receive. Yeah.
I got up, crawled to the kitchen where she was sitting, and I said, I need you to take me to the emergency room. I can't do this anymore. She was like, okay, I'll call your mom. My mom started to come up to the emergency room. We got in the vehicle. We went to the emergency room. I sat down in front of a woman who was checking me in. She goes, oh, my sweet girl, you'll never have to deal with this again. She goes, by the grace of God, I'm sober 16 years. I've been where you are. Don't worry, hang tight. I will check you in and we will get you a new life. How did she know? How did she know? An angel sitting right across from me in the emergency room, holding my hand, telling me, Sasha, you will be okay. I get in, they hook me up to the IVs. I am so sick. I am so sick. I am sweating profusely. I am like literally still can't see anything. And the doctor walks in and he says, I am not detoxing you today, ma'am. I'm not detoxing you. And I'm like, yeah, so sorry, sir. Like, that's actually why I'm here. Like, I need you to medically detox me because I'm going to die if you don't. And he said, that's fine. Die. You can die. He goes, I'm not detoxing you to turn around and have you come back in here tomorrow or the next day or the next day. He goes, I would rather you die right here than watch you walk out those doors knowing that you'll come back another day. And I go, I swear to God, you help me right now. And I don't swear to God. I don't. That's not on my list of to-dos ever. I said, I swear to God, sir, you detox me and you will never have to see me again. Ever. You will never see me again. He hooked me up. We got medically detoxed. I spent the next 5 days in Jerry's mom's basement, soaking up the bed, soaking out the bed, shivering, shaking, detoxing, foggy, the mental fog. I was so heavy. Everything about me was heavy. My brain was heavy. My head was heavy. My arms were heavy. My soul was heavy. I didn't know who I was. I was a lost little girl. Lost with a very heavy, long, hard road to trail through ahead of me. And those moments, those 3 stories that I told you, those are the stories that really are like, okay, those are moments that are the reason why I am today. And they are all humbling and they were all ego checks. And they all made me realize that life is so much more than just me. And I was made to do big and bold things. But it's not for me. It's to act and have service and be able to provide what I know to others and to be able to pay it forward and say, you were made to do big things. There is a reason why you were put on this earth. It is more miraculous for you to be alive right now than not. More things have to go right for you to be here right now with me listening to this podcast than not.
Yeah, that is the story of Sasha. And there's another big piece of your story that we didn't even touch. Obviously, getting married, having your first child, having your second child. Yeah. We'll get into all those details too, because I know there are some very, very defining moments with those experiences as well. But I know that anybody who would meet you today would never, ever, 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 ever imagine the life you've lived. And that is why I think sharing stories is so important, because no matter what somebody is going through or what they think they have going on versus somebody else, you look at somebody from the outside and you don't know their story. We're going to judge, we'll create stories, we'll assume things. And yet when we share our ugly, dark truths, we learn that other people have very similar ugly, dark truths. They might look a little different. Maybe some of them are very, very similar, but we all have stuff. Right. We've all gone through stuff. We will all go through stuff. It's what we choose to do with the stuff that is going to determine who we end up being. Amen. And that's why you and I are doing this podcast, right? Absolutely. Is to help get those stories out there, to show people that we are all very much alike. It doesn't matter who someone is on the outside, what they do, what their status is, what they have. We've all gone through stuff. And I'm telling you, when I hear your story, I can't imagine meeting the previous you. I don't even know what that could look like, honestly.
Oh man, I like just having you say that honestly like brings tears to my eyes, because that poor girl. She was just lost. She had a really terrible inner what is it called? The monologue. I had inner dialogue. She was hurt and wanted other people to hurt. I would do anything. I would lie, steal, cheat, and somehow be able to justify it. And if I couldn't justify it, I drank it all away. And I wasn't willing to change because I thought that change was going to hurt. Right. And you're absolutely right, Michelle. Like, the reason I'm sharing these stories and the reason that I absolutely agreed to do this podcast with you is because you guys, we need to break shame. We need to get out of that. Like, there's no shame in darkness. Like, it's okay to have some hiccups. It's okay to have not been your best.
Not only is it okay, it's normal.
It's so normal.
You wouldn't be a human if you didn't have those things. So anybody who pretends that they don't, they're just not acknowledging the truth. Or maybe they've had a super, super easy breezy charmed life. That could be the case. Mm-hmm. But even people who have that easy breezy charmed life, they still have inner stuff going on. Trust me, because we're all human. We're all ingrained for survival. And things that trigger us into survival for one person, well, that's not an issue for somebody else.
Right.
And yet we all have those things, because at the root of it, we all have the need for love and for connection and for acceptance and for belonging. And maybe, somebody did the best they could to give us those things, but for whatever reason, it didn't feel like enough. So we search for it in other ways. And I think these are the things that you and I are going to continue to talk about, because my story is very, very, very different from yours. And yet there are very common elements and themes that thread through both of ours. So I, from the depths of my soul, thank you for being vulnerable. I know you've been telling this story for some time now, but you're still really early in sharing all of it. Right. And
correct.
And it's emotional every time. I know when I first started telling pieces of my story, like literally in front of giant groups and sometimes corporate lunch and learns, I would get a little choked up. They go, okay, I can't do that because I have to be professional. And then I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm human and this is hard to tell you, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Right. And it's those moments that connect us. It's those moments that people are like, oh my, wow.
Something that's been resting on my heart very heavily is this. You guys, yes, we all have differences, but we have so many more similarities than differences. We need to just put our differences aside and just hold on dearly to the similarities and just say, wow, I love you. I recognize you. I acknowledge you. You are made to do big and bold things. And to just put those differences aside, whatever that looks like. I can't stress that enough. I want that for humanity, for us all to be like, okay, I see you. I may not understand you, but I accept you.
And I think that is a great way to close out this episode. So thank you, my dear, for those really beautiful words. I totally echo that sentiment. And you and I will continue to have these hard conversations. They're hard for us to have too, but know that if you hear anything in what we were saying that resonates with you, or even that just might be opening up your perspective to maybe be curious about somebody in your life who you don't know the whole backstory, and perhaps there is more you'd like to know. That's how these conversations get started. So love you, my dear. Can't wait to get to chat with you again on our next episode. And thank you everybody for listening. We will see you all later. And in the meantime, go and be a better being.
Woohoo!
Thank you for listening to the Be a Better Being podcast. Michelle and Sasha hope that what you heard today inspires you to embrace this journey of life with an open mind, a kind heart, and a willingness to learn and evolve. If you enjoyed the content, please help spread their message by subscribing, sharing, and leaving a 5-star review. If you have a show topic idea or would like to be a guest, please visit betterbeings.net and fill out a contact form. Until next time, go and be a better being.